So it's pretty much started now. So thank you. Thank you everyone for joining me as people start coming in shortly. I'm here today with Alyssa and Pat, and they're both from the National Popular Votes Interstate Compact. And you're both basically, would it be fair to say that you're both kind of strategists? So Pat, you're with the Republican Party, and and Alyssa, you're from the Democratic Party. Is that right? Yes.
Yeah, I think that's about how 100% people would define us.
Yeah. Okay.
It's our only identity, and this.
My wife might come up with a different description, but that's about it.
Well, no, it's so good to have you here. And like, as an Australian, I've always been fascinated, someone who follows American politics closely, with the Electoral College vote. It's always seemed very strange to me, like that system, because it just seems to sort of sideline a lot of people in America. In Australia, when people go to vote, generally most people get a decent say in who they can vote for, and it's not just up to like 5 or 6 different districts. So I'll let you guys give us a little bit of an overview of what you guys are doing at the moment with the Electoral College and the National Popular Vote for people who don't understand. Yeah.
Alyssa, you want me to take a crack at it first?
Yeah.
So nice discussion about the differences between an election in Australia
and the
presidential election in the United States.
Yeah.
You clearly
have done enough research to know,
or paid enough
attention to know that when we elect a president, it basically comes down to 5 to 7 battleground states.
Yeah.
And the rest of the voters in the rest of the states are politically
irrelevant.
That's because the way America uses
the Electoral College, right?
Yeah.
It's on a state-based way of all law. And so what Alyssa and I are together on is solving that nonpartisan problem in a bipartisan way, which is to enact a compact that allows every voter in every state to be politically relevant in presidential elections by electing the president by national popular vote.
Yeah.
And it's not
a political theory or a political science project. It's a practical political movement. Our law has been enacted in 18 states
with
209 electoral votes.
Yeah.
When it
passes with states totaling 270 electoral votes, which is a majority of the Electoral College to elect a president.
Yeah.
Those states agreed to elect the president by national popular vote. So we only need 61 more electoral votes to have a national popular vote for president.
Yeah.
And that's the only way it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And it'll make every voter in every state politically relevant, which we think and believe will reinvigorate grassroots politics in America, which is a good thing, not a bad thing.
Yeah. Oh, look, absolutely. And you could probably see there's people in the chat at the moment, and they're actually leaving comments, and they're saying things like, "You guys are our heroes for doing this."
Well, that's why we do it.
Yeah. Not all heroes wear capes.
We're their heroes. We hope they'll get on board, get involved at nationalpopularvote.com and write their legislator and tell them they want this thing done.
Yeah.
If they do that,
you're our hero.
Oh, great. We'll make sure that we tell them all about that, and obviously it'll go out. Yeah.
And I think, whether you are around the world or here in the United States, like Pat and I, you look at the current system here in the U.S., and there, my goodness is that the system is broken and people are pissed off.
Yeah.
And there are lots of reasons for that. But in Pat and I's view, I think the view of eminently reasonable people, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Under the current system, the presidential election, the highest office in the land, is decided by a handful of voters and a handful of battleground states. It amounts to essentially 4 out of 5 voters. Their vote doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And I know in my own family, if I was ignoring the interest of 4 out of my 5 family members, they would be pretty pissed off.
Yeah.
And that's what you have here in the States.
Yeah.
So in a system where their voices doesn't feel that they don't count, They actually don't.
Yeah.
It's no surprise that voters don't have an enormous amount of confidence in a system where, 1 out of 5 voters views really matter.
Yeah.
And where 2 of the last, I guess, 2 of the last 6 presidential elections were won by a candidate who win the vote goes nationwide.
Yeah.
And I think, Kat and I are work very collaboratively and like each other very much, but we're also partisans and come at this from different angles.
Yeah.
But I think that both of us are, not simps to our party. And even within a party structure, it incentivizes parties. I open the newspaper every day and see stories about Democrats in disarray, fighting about the future of the party, what views to be embraced, which voices to be listened to.
Yeah.
And from the Democrats, the idea is we have and both believe that if the leaders and elected and presidential nominees of both parties had to compete in every district, in every precinct, in every corner of the country, you're less likely to have sort of fringe or minoritarian views represented, and the feeling that voters have that they're not a part of the process. And when that unit breaks down, of having a voice in the process, the whole system breaks down. And I would note that, especially to think of some sort of electoral or structural reform as sort of like an academic pipe dream or a fever dream. This is not. As Pat mentioned, this has been passed in 17 states plus DC. And so we're really to use an American football metaphor. We are in the fourth quarter here. And in every state it's passed with bipartisan support. And that's because it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And it enjoys the support of Democrats, Republicans, and Independents. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah. And so just to be clear, you're not actually getting rid of the Electoral College. You're just you're taking away the winner takes all, in a sense that they're all agreeing to that even, for example, if you had Michigan, I'll just give you an example, a state, and they signed up to the bill, and basically if the Democrats won Michigan, but the Republican won the popular vote, they would then go with the Republican who won the popular vote. Yeah. Is that correct? Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's right. The United States Constitution gives the state legislature the power to award electors, right? And so we're fixing the problem using the United States Constitution by forming this interstate compact. And you're right that if the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact's in place, the Democrat wins the state of Michigan. Currently, they'd award those electors to the Democratic candidates, right? Because they won Michigan. When the National Vote takes effect, those electors in Michigan would be the Republican electors because the Republican won the National Popular Vote.
Right.
So we're using the power as it exists within the United States Constitution to give American voters what they want. Which is a national popular vote for president. Because I will say anybody I'm talking to in the U.S., if you're among the 65% of American voters, according to Pew, who won a national popular vote for president, there's only one way you're going to get one.
Yeah, okay.
And that is the plan at nationalpopularvote.com. That is this interstate compact. So
that makes sense. So basically, and so how many states do you have at the moment again? Yeah. Who signed up?
How many what?
How many states have signed up?
17 states in the District of Columbia.
Yep.
And that's with a total of 209 electoral votes.
So once you get to 270, it then kicks in. It starts.
And what's important to understand is we've passed, in the U.S., we have state legislatures, right? We've had one chamber or the other.
Yeah.
In 18 additional states, with 209 more than the 209 electoral votes required to take effect.
Right. Okay. Okay.
With sorry, 209 electoral votes. Way more than the 51 required.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's it. And so, do you feel confident that before the 2028 election, you'd have enough states on board to go ahead with this? Yeah.
Well, I will say as the senior consultant to the National Popular Vote, working on this issue since 2007.
Yeah.
I have learned that things are a fool's errand.
Yeah.
All I can assure everybody who's watching this is we're going to keep our shoulder to the wheel until it's done.
Yeah.
And we encourage everybody to join us.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think it's interesting because I was reading about the Electoral College, and historically, I think the reason it was brought in was basically because initially the government, the American government, didn't trust the actual people to be informed enough, so they left it to the electors to because they thought they were more informed. But back then they were actually independents, but these days they're just political allies. So they're just so it's a very different system, isn't it?
I would just say that that's kind of been myth.
Okay.
That's why they adopted an electoral college. The reason they went to an electoral college is because the founders who wrote the Constitution could not agree on who to elect the president. So they left the power to the states to determine how they were going to award them. Right. So we're using that power to have a national popular vote for president. One thing I want to clean up.
Yeah,
I got some numbers out there kind of sideways. We have passed 18 states with 209 electoral votes.
Yeah.
Right. That means we need 61 more electoral votes to win.
Yeah.
We've passed one chamber or another in 7 additional states.
Yeah.
With 74 electoral votes, which is more than 61 required. So I would say it's not a question of if the national popular vote for president will occur at some point.
Yeah.
The only question is when. So that's the prediction I will make.
And I know that of those 7 states were passed in one of the 2 legislative chambers.
Yeah.
Of those seven, 3 of them are major swing states.
Yeah.
Sometimes, we get questions, what about the swing states that get all the attention from the presidential candidate? How do you get them on board? But already we have one chamber in each of Arizona, North Carolina, and Michigan. We've seen broad and growing bipartisan support. And I'll tell you, someone who's worked in every swing state, talked to voters on the ground, those swing states, the swing state voters would be thrilled to not have every football game and maybe even basketball games and interrupted by endless commercials and their mailboxes, flooded with your cookie mail every day. So it's a win-win for everyone.
Yeah. So do you feel? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Pat. Yeah.
Well, just if I can like one. The swing state. Why are you seeing a popular vote for president? Seeing a big attractive.
Yeah.
It's certainly because of what Alyssa pointed out. Right. They're tired of the toxicity of partisan political state.
Yeah.
Right. These closely divided battleground states, but there's also policy implications. Right. So everybody in Australia probably knows.
Yeah.
That trade between the United States and the rest of the world is a pretty important issue today. Right? Like the important issue here is the important issue in Europe, the important issue in Asia, Australia. Right. It's the center of American policy right now. Well, the last Trump administration, when they did what the rest of the world calls a trade war.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When they started that.
Yeah.
The European Union, the first industry they targeted for retaliatory tariffs was Harley Davidson motorcycle.
Yeah. To get back at Trump.
That wasn't by mistake.
No.
Donald Trump needed to win Wisconsin in order to get elected under the current system. And so foreign governments figured out how to weaponize this battleground state status against American consumers, American companies, American voters.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay. That's because I do remember that. I do remember when they targeted Harley Davidson, and I was thinking that they were targeting just because they wanted to get back. Obviously, they wanted to get at Trump. to do it that way. Okay, that's interesting.
And that's where you can do
the most damage is in a battleground state. So it's not just the motorcycles, but like sugar beet tariffs are targeting sugar beet farmers in the thumb of Michigan. Another battleground state. Or steel tariffs on U.S. steel is about Pennsylvania battleground state voters.
And so
if you make every voter in every state politically relevant, you know what I mean?
It's hard. Don't get me wrong. I think there would be tariffs on American goods in response to our tariffs. And reasonable people can disagree about whether that's a good or a bad idea. But in battleground states, that disproportionately falls on their industries, their voters, their consumers. And
so they're
the system we use.
They're more susceptible to it. Do you think like because I follow American politics very closely, sometimes to some degree closer than my own countries. But do you think I noticed that America it's a lot of people there's a lot of apathy when it comes to voting. A lot of people don't vote, and a lot of people seem tuned out, like they're not engaged compared to Australia. Now, in Australia, we have compulsory voting, so that kind of helps with the everyone sort of involved sort of thing. But is part of that because of the electoral college system that you have, where you have big states like California, New York, where they don't feel like they're really involved in the vote, that their vote doesn't count?
A very easy way to look at this. In 2024, voter turnout in battleground states was 11% higher than in non-battleground states. That's significant. That's double digits. And it makes sense. And when we look at what this would practically look like, right? Like, who cares? No one's competing for your vote, asking for it, campaigning for it. And it effectively doesn't count. Why does it turn out to vote? A national popular vote for president would force campaigns to compete everywhere. That would mean listening and responding to voters. And under the current system, they just don't have to do that. I think in 2024, over 95% of all presidential campaign events for Donald Trump, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris was all in the 7 battleground states. Policy, messaging, even candidate selection are based on large crafted around Hillary to these 7 battleground states. And national popular vote would change that. That is something that both parties should want to embrace. In fact, I would argue, I'll speak to my side of the aisle. It's existential for Democrats. It's existential, and Republicans, I'm sure you see them do the same. You saw Republicans in 2024 make huge inroads in states like New York, California, Indiana, the Sun Belt. But Democrats even want to be a party that can compete. It's national popular vote or bust. And Republicans are in the same boat for either side. That in the country we're living in, the only sort of path that I think either of us can see forward or any rational person can see forward is that forces both parties to compete in every state, in every state. And, and so much of the vitriol that we see that we see broken that comes from the cities being seen as Democratic and rural areas being seen as Republican. And each of those interests, each of those geographies being not always served by both parties. That's a problem. That's a problem.
I would just add as a Republican, right? Like I am still a Republican. I've been a conservative. Carrying more water for the elephant, which is a symbol of the Republican Party than most people. Breathing. I'm a Republican trapped behind the blue wall in Minnesota. Right. So Minnesota is the only state that voted for Walter Mondale. Now I vote because I'm the one person who's not. I'm one of the people who's going to say. The president is the most important election in my life. In some ways, I think who my mayor is, who my state legislator is way more important in my life than who the president is. But what drives turnout
What drives participation
is the presidential election
because it's the brand standard election.
Yeah.
And I can assure you that there are voters that stay home that are Republicans in Minnesota because they know in presidential years, their vote does not matter as a reliably Democratic state under the current system.
And I think that's why we were able to
pass the National Popular Vote Bill in my home state
in a
bipartisan way.
And
so what I know for sure is the thing that motivates me most
to be a vocal proponent on this
passion project, the National Popular Vote, is that I think it will do more to reinvigorate grassroots politics,
so that more
voters have more of a voice in every election.
Right.
And that we dilute the concentration of resources in battleground states, so that we can focus peer-to-peer, pew-to-pew,
engaging in participation with like-minded people, and that will have a dramatic effect not just in the presidential race, but in down-ballot races.
And so I think it's not a silver bullet for anything,
right?
But I think the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact
is the most important
political reform in my lifetime. If I'm interested in reinvigorating grassroots politics, and if I'm interested,
and I don't know,
people set down their jerseys a little bit.
You know what I mean?
Getting out to the polls, voting, and everybody getting better at living with the results.
And beyond the implications for politics. In my view, huge implications for actually governing and getting the sort of buy-in that my country needs to be able to tackle very, very, very big challenges that are just around the corner. Right now, you have a system, too many votes, where frankly, neither party has to offer much concrete in return for voters, in return for someone's vote, right? And as a result, it seems sort of a deficit of new ideas. And we couldn't be at a worse time to not have parties competing on ideas. We have things like AI, massive, not your workforce to sort of change how we think of conceptions of human beings, setting those rules on the road, massive technological change and other things that we have to adapt to. Those things are only going to be navigated if people are bought in, not in 7 states, but in all 50. And we are forced to not just compete on the margin. Like right now, presidential elections are about capturing, getting the best TV ad, the best digital ad, the best interview on a handful of message points, rather than ideas, and we suffer as a result.
Yeah. So do you think Donald Trump winning the popular vote has helped bringing in the national popular vote, because now Republicans feel like, okay, it's not just a Democratic thing, or it doesn't really matter?
And the political nature of this issue, like the partisan headwinds and tailwinds, changed three times since I've been working on this since 2007. The one thing I'll say is that President Trump has been consistent.
And that
he believes a national popular vote for president is in the best interest of the country. So I don't know. I remember when Democrats thought they had a virtual lock on the current system because everybody was calling a blue wall. That shows you how smart political people are,
right?
Because Donald Trump threads the needle in 2016
in blue wall states
that no Republican had won for 16 years. So this isn't about any one election or any of that kind of stuff. Honest to God, if you ever thought you were a proponent of national popular vote because of candidates like Donald Trump
from being elected
president, you're as ignorant as the other prognosticators.
Yeah.
In the end, what a national popular vote for president will deliver is it will deliver a system where candidates take their message to every voter in precinct in every state, every presidential election. The candidate, Republican or Democrat, Donald Trump, Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, Ronald Reagan, doesn't matter. The candidate who resonates most with the most American voters will be elected president. And the good news for the rest of the world is we won't be arguing about whether that person is legitimate or illegitimate. We will know that president speaks with the full-throated support of the most American voters, which is critically important to the world and will always be critically important to the world.
Yeah.
Now, I think that's true of the Australian Prime Minister. I think that's true of just about anybody.
Yeah.
Right? But that is essentially important in all world orders.
Yeah.
So we should all get behind that for the planet, if not just for our country.
Oh, absolutely. And I think one of the reasons I take such an interest in American politics, probably because it's a bit more interesting than Australia. Australian politics is a bit more bland. But that's the way I like it, though. But it's not necessarily a bad thing. But I think it's because America influences the world so many ways. So if you see something in America, sometimes other Western countries will be affected by that. So when you see like Donald Trump in the 2020 election not accepting the results, actually in Australia, some of the minor parties started trying to copy that. And I saw the same thing in the UK and Europe as well. So because it's such a big country, culturally can affect other countries. So it would be great to people go, okay, well, Donald Trump or, Josh Shapiro, whoever the next person is, wins the popular vote. And then there's no conflict about, well, they won the electoral, but they lost the popular vote. Yeah.
And let me say one thing, which I absolutely do believe the United States of America contributed to the world.
Yeah.
Is this idea that people can govern themselves through a principle called one person, one vote.
Yeah.
Right? Like in the end, that was the importance of the American Revolution, is that we establish a republic. And it didn't start with this idea of one person, one vote. Because back then it was one vote, provided you were white male and had land.
Yeah,
okay. But it has evolved over time because this foundational principle of American democracy, which I think is one of our most important contributions in the world, is this idea that if you're a citizen of the United States, you get a vote.
Yeah.
Right? You get an equal vote to every other person voting. Right? If you are a citizen of the United States, and then that is important. Now, that is true of every one of our elections except for one. Right? Which is the presidential election.
Yeah.
So I think the reason that Alyssa and I are so passionate about this and we can agree so easily on this is because you don't believe one person, one vote is a Republican idea or a Democratic idea. We don't believe it's a Green Party idea or a Libertarian idea. It's a uniquely American idea at some level. And that's what I think brings us together, brings the support of the national popular vote, interstate compact together. And it's not about Donald Trump. And it's not about Republicans or Democrats. It's a political movement of Republicans, Democrats, Independents, liberal, conservatives, and moderates who want to advance the principle of one person, one vote presidential election because it's in the best interest of our culture, our economy, and it's in the best interest of the nature of our politics, and in my view, the planet. So those are some of the things that bring us together.
So I notice in America, because you stick to like there's maybe 5 or 6 swing states, and all the money from both parties just go into those 5 or 7 states, and the rest of the country just gets ignored. There's always that argument. So before I started this, I actually went on Twitter because I have a bit of an account. I talked to a lot of MAGA people on there, and one of the reasons they don't like the national popular vote is because they think that all the small rural areas won't get any, no one will come, they won't get any love, they won't get any treatment. But what I started sort of thinking about is they don't really go there now, because I never see them go to small states. They always go, even when they go to swing states, they generally go to the biggest cities in the swing state. Would that right? Because they have a certain amount of time they can spend or a certain amount of money. They don't generally just go into rural areas. So that's not really good. That wouldn't change much anyway, would it? Yeah.
Well, that's partially a good observation. Your response to the objection. I mean, the truth is what I think most people don't know.
Yeah.
Is that there are many voters in rural towns and cities in America as there are in the urban centers.
Yeah.
Okay. So what we know in first past the post systems, what candidate with the most votes are elected in single-member districts, like governor or Senate races in the U.S. Well, people don't get elected to the Senate or governor in states by ignoring rural voter, right? So there are many voters in rural America as there are in urban centers. Okay. So the one thing I know for sure about national popular vote is in a single-member district, the United States of America, all 50 states in the District of Columbia, it doesn't matter if you live in Bismarck, North Dakota, or Boca Raton, Florida.
Yeah.
Your vote is going to make a meaningful difference on who gets the most votes. And not a single, haven't done a lot of presidential politics in my lifetime. I don't do it anymore, so I'm not self-interested, but it makes me an expert on this subject. Right? We do not ignore a single voter that matters in a presidential election. We don't do that in the battlegrounds. That's where your observation is sort of off a little bit because there is likely to go to where was Radar O'Reilly from in Ohio? It was like this little town in Ohio.
Yeah.
When Ohio was a battleground state, presidential candidates would go through there for the photo op because they were definitely paying the rural voters in Ohio because the Ohio voters and the rural areas of Ohio got as many visits as the cities did.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you extrapolate that across the country, every voter in every state will matter. Rural voters are going to be as important. Now, where your observation was right, is small state voters are totally ignored under the current system. So one of the reasons as a conservative I support a national popular vote for president, it's because it's only why I know how to make a voter in Bismarck, North Dakota as politically relevant as somebody in Boca Raton, Florida. Not more, not less, but as.
Yeah.
And that's important.
Yeah. To add on, what oftentimes the route we see on TV behind the universities for bodies. So that's the most, even under the current system, the most competitive types of countries are often sort of suburban or like districts that have some like urban centers and rural, like the most famous county, the famous county in Pennsylvania County in Michigan, which is quite rural. And while might in sort of a different activities in different places, right? Where do you see most dollars being spent when they actually go people are competing for those owners. But where you see the states really ignored are where the swing states are the swing states not because they're being small or medium or because they have urban centers. It's because they just so happen to be 50-50 in her, 30 independence, really split into a partnership. And, you asked a question earlier on when we think this will be passing time for the next presidential election. And it's hard to make predictions, but the conditions.
Yeah.
It's overwhelming actually for both parties' political concerns. The changes in how people vote, who's voting for whom, and demographic shift and population shifts are really creating an environment where sort of mix the political mix. Cities have always had Republicans, but have more different racial groups are voting different racial groups. It's incentivizing both parties. Those changes that you hear are incentivizing both parties. I believe you're not playing with a great hand if you're competing in those 7 states for either party. That broadening the map is not only good for the country, but it's also happening for both parties.
Yeah. And also, like in Australia, a lot of times, because prime ministers are spending more time in so many different areas, those areas then become swing states. You know what I mean? Because they're given more time during not just during the election, but even during the 3 years leading up to it. But if an area is completely, because I always hear Republicans say, this is what I heard Republicans say, is that, well, there's no point because they're just going to vote Democrat anyway. But I mean, if nobody's going to those areas because they think those areas are either Democrat or Republican, then you're not going to change those people's mind because no one is actually there to change their mind. So it kind of feels like it's like a vicious cycle where if you just stick to the swing states and you don't worry about the other states, you're never going to increase the votes. Not to say that you would win that state, but you might have got maybe 10% more. And if it was a popular vote, that would make a big difference. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it would have a huge down races, right?
Yeah.
Which is what's really important. So I would argue that anybody that wants to be in the last majority party in America should support a national popular vote for president. And the idea that these battleground status states are always the same. That's an argument they'll make. Right? So they're like battleground. That's another way of saying battleground status is fleeting.
Yeah.
I sort of agree with that. But a state like Michigan, like if they move one year and now by about 3 points right now, they will not be a battleground state. They've not always been a battleground state.
Yeah.
And the argument for national popular vote is that if you want permanent battleground status for your voters, get on board with the national popular vote interstate compact because that's the only way to make your voters relevant every year. And then you can compete for the hearts and minds of every voter in every precinct.
Yeah.
Every 4 years. And that's how you build political muscle for parties. That's how you win the hearts and minds of American voters. So it's a no-brainer in my estimation.
Yeah. I mean, it seems the majority of Americans actually want a national popular vote, don't they? Isn't it like 60 or 70% or something like that? Yeah.
I mean,
it's 2/3, and actually with young voters, it's even higher. With young voters, it's nobody. For all of the reasons that people want to have a say in how the country's run, but don't. With the highest office in the land, and we believe in a proof benefit to any lawmaker of either party who gets behind it. Getting behind, there are not many things on this country that enjoy two-thirds support across Democrats, Republicans, and Independents. Anytime you get behind those sorts of things, it's usually a political winner, and this one happens to also save our democracy as well.
Yeah.
Hey, Joe, can I just say one thing? Kind of these chats, well, not that we don't know that there is a problem. There's like,
can you read that? Can you read that as well?
People mentioning it.
Yeah.
We need to be on time. Figure out how to say
it. Yeah. I was
trying to say.
Yeah, I didn't realize you guys.
We're doing really bad. I hope you can hear some.
Yeah, I was reading it, but I didn't know if you guys could read it, so I didn't want to make a thing about it. But I thought that we hadn't got enough time to try to fix it. So I do apologize to everybody in the chat if the sound. See, we're getting love hearts. See the love hearts? Can you see the love hearts?
No, everybody loves knowledge.
Yeah.
That it is really echoing in my head too. So I don't know if
but you know what?
We love you.
No,
it's great.
The great thing is when I upload the video later, so it goes to the video, it goes out to Substack. Once we finish, generally the echoing goes away. So it's only for the live. It won't be for the video afterwards that goes out. Yeah. So
can I thank the 44 people who are sticking with us when they have to hear it this way? I just want to say thanks.
No, that's okay. I just wanted to ask, can I ask one more question before you go? In Australia, we have sort of ranked choice voting. What do you guys think of ranked choice voting in America for a presidential election? Yeah.
I'm going to give this answer first, which is I'm a one-trick pony. You know what I mean? I will tell you that a lot of people who support ranked choice voting for a national popular vote for president. I will also tell you that ranked choice voting is absolutely compatible with the national popular vote interstate compact. But I am a one-trick pony where I focus all of my energy on what I believe is the most important political reform of my lifetime, which is the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact, We welcome anybody who supports the right choice, voting and or democracy reform to our cause.
Yes.
And I actually think it is the one major democracy reform that can get done if every democracy reformer gets behind it. So that's what I have found ranked choice voting.
Yeah. And Alyssa, what do you think on the ranked choice voting? Are you for it?
Sure. Yes, I live in New York City, home of one of the
biggest
ranked choice experiments. Yeah. I think they're complementary. But when I look at the problems are democracy, I really told you to be honest. I've seen what ranked choice can and can't do. And and tamping down the tone of partisanship, forcing even with ranked choice voting, you see different policies sort of selecting their voters and competing hard for them versus competing for the whole of the electorate.
Yeah.
And trying to be persuasive, right? Not finding voters for their ideas, but ideas for voters. And I think that national popular vote alone really should that. But it works complementary with other electoral reforms that I think have other objectives.
Yeah. Okay.
Can I say one more thing?
Yeah, go for it.
I was watching the scroll. I was like, Kieran. I think everybody thinks my name's Kieran because I dialed in on somebody else's Substack account. And so I agree that Kieran, who this account is, he is a sweetie. I've never met him working with Alyssa, who does.
Oh, right. Yeah, I saw that too. So just so everyone knows.
Yeah. Make it clear, my name is Brad Rosensteel.
Yes.
I'm senior consultant to National Popular Vote, and I was happy to stay through the echo.
Yeah. And well, thank you so much. I know, Pat, that you've got I was told that you've got another caller in 10 minutes or something. So, so you probably have to go.
I'm okay for the next 10 minutes. It's your fault.
You're okay for if you want to stay and chat for another 10 minutes, that's fine. Yeah. I'm happy to chat. So is there anything else that you think the other thing I've heard is that, if it does get passed, or if enough states do it, that it will be challenged by the Supreme Court. Is that a possibility in a country like America where it's very litigious? Yeah.
Well, here's what I'll say. This is the United States of America.
Yeah.
There will be a lawsuit. It won't be challenged by the Supreme Court. I would say that any voter in any compacting state would have what's called standing to sue over the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact, but not whether or not it's constitutional, really, because the United States Constitution can't be more clear. It says each state shall appoint in such manner as the legislature thereof may direct a number of electors. What the credible lawsuit will center around is whether or not it requires congressional consent.
Yeah,
because Article 1, Section 10 of the Constitution says no state shall enter into a compact without the consent of Congress.
Yeah.
So there's a long, convoluted answer that I could give to that, which would bore everybody on this call. Trust me when I say we're prepared for it. Now, what everybody needs to understand, if the court determines the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact requires consent, which I would argue this would be very unlikely to do.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's Fifth Amendment court and state powers. In this court.
Yeah.
If they require consent, we go to Congress and we get consent. That happens when you reach the triggering threshold.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So you don't imagine it would be a problem in terms of stopping.
I can't think of a single credible legal argument against the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact, because compacts, what you need to understand, if you care enough to understand this minutia, are older than the Republic. You know what I mean? Like interstate compacts. Every state is in dozens of these. New York, where Alyssa lives, doesn't exist. What's called the Port Authority, which is an interstate compact between Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and New York.
Yes.
Right. So these things are not exotic, and they're in the Impairment Clause of the United States Constitution, which is for constitutional power. So this thing's airtight. I will say when we reach the 270 electoral vote triggering threshold, the court will decide very quickly the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact will be upheld.
Yeah.
And we will elect the president by popular vote.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. And I can't imagine, like, what are the states so far that have signed up for it? How many of those are sort of Democrat and how many are Republican? Yeah.
Well, there's a lot to that answer, right? I would say that if you looked at the states that enacted, they would all be blue states in presidential election. New York, for example, when the state of New York, it was the Republican-controlled Senate that moved the bill 4 times before the Democratic House would. In almost every state except for one, it passed in a bipartisan fashion. You'll remember I talked about those 8 states with the electoral votes. Enough to have a compact of that. Where one chamber or another has passed it.
Yeah.
One of those was the Oklahoma Senate. The other was the Arizona House.
Right.
And I promise you count the progressives in those chambers in less than half of one hand.
Right.
So it is very much a bipartisan movement.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And I would know, that passed small states, medium-sized states, large states, states of all really shaped and sizes, and it's had bipartisan supports throughout, and it's moving through in states like Oklahoma, Arkansas, North Carolina, with bipartisan support.
Yeah. Are you in Michigan? Is one of the states Michigan? Or you still?
Yes.
Yeah, Michigan, we've been active for a while.
Yeah.
I will say that after the 2016 presidential election, right, the last divergent election, the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact was introduced in the Senate in Michigan, which was the battleground state at the time.
Right.
Quintessential, right in the center of that 2016 campaign. Was introduced with 15 Republican sponsors, more than half of their caucus, and 10 Democratic sponsors.
Yeah,
which was way more than 2/3 of that caucus. Right. So I don't know of any other election reform bill in the history of my life that has been introduced with that kind of bipartisan support.
Yeah.
Now we continue to work on Michigan.
Yeah.
Michigan is not enacted. We believe Michigan will be a part of the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact. It's only a matter of time.
Yeah. Well, I really hope. I mean, from my point of view, and I think from the point of view of everyone listening, I think most people think it's crazy that the current system that you have, it seems very unfair to the majority of Americans who basically their vote doesn't really count. And in just about any other Western democracy, I can't think of any other country where so many people's vote doesn't count towards the end results. Yeah, it doesn't seem very democratic. Yeah.
It certainly doesn't have any influence. I mean, I want to be very careful about count. I agree with one of the notes in the section earlier, which is whether you live in a battleground state or a flyover state, I encourage everybody to vote. Right, because there's a lot of them go up board, but certainly don't have any influence over the outcome in that race. The down ballot races are essential and important.
Yeah,
and we need to get this national popular vote done so more people participate in flyover states.
Yeah,
because I think we're at inflection point in American democracy, and I don't think anyone will more important for that cause than the national popular vote interstate compact.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Well, thank you so much, guys, for coming on here. Where can people go to find out more information about it? Yeah.
www.nationalpopularvote.com.
www. So old school.
I know. I really dated myself, but never as much as you, Pat.
Well, we're Australia's like 20 years behind in technology, so that's that's still good. Yeah. Oh, that's excellent. Well, thank you so much. I've really enjoyed talking to the both of you. And I hope all my listeners will go up. And most of my listeners are from America. Pretty much everybody who follows me is American. So this video will go to probably a few thousand people later tonight. So they'll get to see it as well. So hopefully you get a bit of traction with that as well. Yeah.
Well, thanks. Really appreciate you having us. You'll have one more follower and listener moving forward.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you bet.
Bye-bye. Take it easy.